week 147, December the 28th, 2022, the last report of 2022. And honestly, I'm pretty excited to put this year behind me. Financially, it was fine. Emotionally, it was pretty damn draining. As you can imagine, working in a market like this, working with agents that have never really worked in a market like this, and a lot of the doom and gloomers out there who have never worked in a market like this before and have done a really good job of capturing the attention of people in that miserable pit of sadness that they seem to like to live in, where, as a great example, is I'm sure you have all seen the story of that group of people who bought these pre-construction houses. I can't even remember where they are, but they bought them during the peak of the market, and now they are not appraising at the value they need them to appraise at. So financing is becoming a problem, and these geniuses think it's a great idea to protest with signs as if the developer is going to do something. Look, I totally agree that a developer needs to step in and help these people close versus just hardline taking these units back and robbing them of their money. But I just don't understand the constant need to keep that in the news as if it's some sort of tip of the iceberg moment that's going to roll out across the rest of the market. And, there are going to be other people that have difficulty closing on properties, but now we are in an environment where we have people buying in a down market and closing in a down market. So that cycle of people that bought in the first quarter of 2022, or even bought high priced pre-construction units earlier than that are going to be closing in the next year, 2 or 3, that is there, but there's enough time for the market to kind of clean itself up and catch up to some of those prices, where we're not going to be seeing too many more of these insane stories that seem to really get a lot of legs. So listen, it's important to pay attention to the things that are happening out there, but it's also important to understand the context of what's happening in the market as a whole, and making sure that you understand that because this group of people who happens to be underwater on these properties exist, does not mean that that's what's happening across the board in the rest of the market. Same goes for power of sale type of units. We talked about this in last week's video. Power of sales come to market just like any other property, and they sell. And speaking of coming to market, have you checked the numbers? It's in the blog. You know what? I'm not even going to get into the numbers yet, because I wrote a poem, and I don't know if you want to hear this poem. It's really stupid, but I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone here. So I'm going to make you listen to me recite this poem. So it was I wrote it to the tune of "Twas the Night Before Christmas." Here it goes. Ready? "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the city, homes were for sale, but the lack of buyers was a pity. The sellers were pacing, all anxious and stressed, hoping to find a buyer, but feeling depressed. The economy was bad, with job losses and loads of debt, but the sellers remained hopeful, despite the perceived threat. The prices were lower, with no end in sight, the buyers all smiling, enjoying sellers' blight. But as they shopped around, they found a surprise. Interest rates were rising before their very eyes. The market was fairer, with some mercy shown. The sellers all cried, feeling so alone. But just when they thought all hope was lost, a miracle happened, and the sellers were aghast. An eager buyer appeared, just like in a dream. The sellers all rushed, with their wallets agleam. And at that moment, the market was won. The sellers all cheered. Their battle was done. So if you're a seller, don't lose heart. The market may be tough, but a sale is worth the start. Keep searching and hoping, and you'll find your way to a buyer of your dreams on Christmas Day. But buyer beware of rising interest rates. They may impact your budget and seal your fates. But don't despair. The economy will turn. With hard work and determination, a bright future we yearn. We'll bounce back stronger, and prosperity will reign, and all of the optimists will realize their gain. But be smart and prepared, and you'll find the perfect home. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good home." What do we think? Do we like this poem? I like this poem. It's a good poem. I've never written one before. If you hate it, you hate it. I don't care, but I'm going to give myself a round of applause. Thank you very much. So let's look at the market here real quick. So here we are. If you look at last year's post, I encourage you to click on this link over here, which takes you to this time last year. And just like I said in that post last year, I didn't take a genius to predict what was going to happen in the early part of 2022. But we're not even talking about that anymore. What I wanted to show you right now specifically is where we sit in terms of number of listings. This is half of where we were about 8 weeks ago, almost 9 weeks ago. I'm not too worried about there only being 9 sales because it's Christmas. People want to take their foot off the gas. But these numbers here are what you should always be looking at and understanding that everything's going to be okay as long as people don't flood the market with their properties. And if they haven't by now, they're not going to. And if part of this are some power of sale properties, and even if those power of sale properties are at a percentage that is 50, 60% higher than typical power of sales in any market, as long as the overall listing supply remains in an aggressive seller's market territory like this, everything's going to be just fine. Don't pay too much attention to average prices. Like I've said, there was a couple of huge condo sales that pulled this up. We're focused on median. And if you look at the charts, you can see where all that is going. Wow, that is not right. We are going to have to fix that price for sure. Or maybe it is right because there was only one sale. This is why we don't pay attention to average prices and small data sets like this. The main point is to look at listing supply, how long it's taking properties to sell. And what we'll notice here is you'll notice that days on market is way up in pretty much every community. And that happens every year around this time as no new listings are being added. And we can see one of the most undersupplied communities in the entire city of Toronto with 0 sales, but 24 active listings, less than 1 month of inventory. That should say up actually, but less than 1 month of inventory here. You'll notice even here, 40 days on market. That's because there's a lot of properties that are selling that have been sitting for a long time because there's no new inventory to satisfy the buyer demand. So they are buying stuff that's been sitting and making some compromises in those scenarios around this time of year. So that's why you're seeing these kind of numbers, and we should see that days on market statistic come down as we head into the early part of 2023. So what does the 2023 look like? I mean, I'm going to make another video about that before the new year, but in general, I think that it's a fairly safe assessment that 2023 is going to be a relatively calm year in terms of, there aren't going to be aggressive gains, aggressive losses. I think a lot of people are going to be holding and waiting. And a lot of buyers that there are no words that I can use to make you not feel nervous about the market. And some people are just deciding that they are not going to make any financial decisions at this level at all. And that's cool. And I'm not here to tell you to do that. I'm not here to tell you that, interest rates were at 20% in the 80s, so you should be okay with this. That's not true. I mean, right now, interest rates are high and some people are hurting, and you have to, acknowledge that. And that's not like an objection that you hear real estate agents. How do I overcome these objections? Like, are these objections or are they facts that somebody's telling you? Like, not everything is something for you to overcome to get somebody to do something that you want them to do. The whole point, the way we operate at the Spring Team, is to understand the financial position of the people that we're speaking to and help advise them in the best path forward to making a real estate investment. And the best path forward at this time for some people might be to not make any investments at all because you just cannot handle that sort of risk. Personally, I take lots of risk. I'm happy with risk. I'm young enough, stable enough that I can take some risks. But that's just who I am. But some people just aren't like that, and that's okay. I'm not going to convince you to do anything you don't want to do. But 2023 should be relatively calm. There should be some decent buying opportunities still. Right now, I haven't seen any better buying opportunity than the assignment market. If any assignments are on the market, you're getting them at phenomenal prices. And if you're not sure what an assignment is, you can reach out and we can discuss that. But I'm going to keep this one short because I'm still kind of on vacation right now. I wanted to take this entire holiday off, but I just couldn't let a week go by without doing one of these posts. So I apologize that this one's a little bit lighter than usual. But, there's a lot going on in the world that I don't really want to think about right now. But I will deeply be thinking about it before my New Year's post. So have a great day. Thanks so much for your attention. And let me know what you think about the poem. Did it suck? Should I try and write another one? Let's see. Have a good one.